They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So then you said that they put millions of my actions. Yes, you said. Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right. One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a door. It's a door. Payback is a door.
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacles set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never a home, only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. The fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles will make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage and safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash. Get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a door. It's a door. Payback is a door.
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood cell. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember YAHANNA's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in his body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is served cold, I just hope they make an oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in the world of mad shooters. That was designed fire for our babies to pass through in the day of our king's reign, not be overzealous. They bought my jealous out for a brand new pair of bellows.
You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a door. It's a door. Payback is a door. It's a door.
All right, clap it up. All right, so this is the conflict zone. We're not afraid to examine any conflict that involves blacks, Hispanics, and natives on this show. All right, so this week what we're looking at now, Trump's executive orders. Trump issues some executive orders which, them kind of go against us, Black, Hispanics, and Native, and trying to sanitize Black history. You know, when you look at it, you wonder if he's trying to prepare Blacks again for slavery, or Blacks and Hispanics. There was one news I heard, not this week, I think it was last week, where he said he was looking at the legal aspects of getting the army to fight crime within America. The most recent one is trying to reopen Alcatraz prison. The moves that he's trying to make, they make you wonder. Before Europe, there was a time when Blacks was ruling in Europe, and then they took over eventually. When I said they are talking about the white race, and if they remove all the things that were Black, bury the Black icons, remove Black literature, everything that was about us. That was how you end up with the Renaissance period, which was a rebirth of the arts and sciences. Now, you see, it's a similar thing, Then they also remove the Black Christ and so on from Europe and give you the white Christ and all that. What they're doing now today, they're removing all the Black historical figures, these things that your Black child could look at and say, my people had a contribution in the building of this nation other than slavery. All right, and he's trying to sanitize all that. Makes you wonder, what is he really preparing for? What is the next phase of the American story? The present phase of the American story is more than 100 years old. All right? After World War II, when the American nation took off, everything in America, the infrastructure in America and so on is really old. I haven't built a new city since probably the 50s. You have countries that have built many cities since then. And they are aware of these things, and they are preparing for the next stage of the American story or the American civilization. What you can see the role that they intend for Blacks to play, and that is no significant role. In other words, they are removing. You follow the trend of what is happening. It was a similar thing when Hitler was ruling and was going against the Jewish man in Germany. They removed, eventually, they didn't go after the Jewish man first. They went after some Blacks that were there, but I think maybe those Blacks were African, I don't know. But they went after them first. Nobody said anything. Went after the Jewish man. And then they started to squeal. But you look at that, yeah, a similar story in America now. Going after the Hispanics, talking about immigration. But you know, the majority of crime in America is not committed by immigrants. The argument they want to use is to look at the crimes that the immigrants commit and say, well, if they weren't here, they wouldn't, especially the illegal immigrants. If they weren't here, then these crimes wouldn't have been committed. But the truth and the fact is they cannot control the crimes that their own people commit within America. But, you know, I draw your attention, and by you I mean blacks, Hispanics, and Native. There was a time in our history under the Medians, Persians, the Medes and the Persians, when Esther was queen, and this evil man who was governor at the time, the name Haman, who tried to wipe out Esther's people, and he was trying to go after Mordecai specifically as well. Built a gallows for Mordecai, a gallows which end up hanging him. Now, I know that the Most High, we're in the last days, and the Most High has promised us clemency, promised us mercy. So, you know, all those prisons and all those places that they are reopening, you know, and you know, might just be to put them there for us to put them there. Never know. Alright, we're going to jump into some story. Alright, Revelation 12 first, 14 to 17. Where I started that. Might not read all of it right now. Revelation chapter 12, verse 14. All right, Revelation 12 and 14. Is it 12 by the way? Okay. Revelation chapter 12, verse 14. And the woman were given 2 wings, of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood, verse 15. Water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. So, you know, this woman is talking about the 12 tribes, blacks, Hispanics, and Native today. Now, this serpent, of course, is the oppressor. And it tells you how far, how long we will be in that wilderness or that safe place away from her. Time and times and half a time, you know, which is about some 300 years, approximately. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman. Now, this water is representing all those lies and, you know, identity theft and all that is they come after us, blacks, Hispanics, with, you know, removing of the true black icon of the black icons in the Bible, remove their images and whitewash all of them. So that's them spitting out water wash us away, hoping that we may fall asleep and never wake. Right? So, you know, and what Trump is doing now is trying to reverse us back into that state. So, him spitting out water, but it's not going to hold. Because, verse 16, the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. So we go through all them things after slavery, and we research and we know who we are, and we see all the lies that they tell and things, and that they cast out, and you know, denying the native people around here. Who they are, we don't know. You know, who are these native people? Who are these people that run around here? Which way they knew who they were coming to from the time Columbus was coming around here. They know which set of people they were. When they were taking us from the coast of Africa, the west coast of Africa, they knew who they were putting in slavery. You know, all these things were known. And yet, when slavery was abolished, they were like, "You're African. Who are you people? Where are you from?" You know, as if they don't know who you are. Which is nothing but a lie. Right? So the scripture said that the earth helped the woman. All right. So let's jump into, how should I just read verse 17 before. Verse 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman. The dragon being the oppressor, the woman being the 12th tribe, was wroth with us, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. That's what you see is happening now. Trump coming to make war with us, which keep the commandments of God. The remnant of her seed, which keep. No, this is, we read in Revelation. You know, this is after Christ, and it is said the revelation of Christ. Christian tell her that you don't need to keep the commandments. Here in Revelation chapter 12, verse 17, it tells her that the oppressor was vexed with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of the woman's seed. That's the woman's children. Women don't have seed, but I mean the woman here is referring to Israel, 12 tribe. So the seed of those who survived through all the atrocities that were. Those of us who come on rebirth and is here. He make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep, the ones that keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ, of YAHANNA. So, quite clear who he's going after. And we in the truth here, you know, just a matter of time before him start looking our direction and try to strike the hammer in our direction. So let's jump into some of the things that Trump is doing. Sanitizing Black history. Where is that one? Trump wants to erase Black history. Not the congressman. Capitalnews.org, Smithsonian Tubman. So we can find it. Smithsonian News. This is capitalbnews.org. Copy. Yes. All right, so the capital B News. Shalom, sir. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah.
Yeah, Shamshakta, yeah, am I right?
Loud and clear, sir.
On Sanitize. What you looking like?
How we doing?
I said, what we looking like? They looking like,
Yeah, we're looking at Trump again. I don't know when this man won't keep quiet. I'm going to come off his name.
it ain't no quiet to keep it. Yeah, yeah. The only time our bees just stay quiet is when it get put on, That's the only time our bees just stay quiet.
You're
Our
right.
bees go, our bees go always be our bees. Yeah.
Always.
Mm.
All right, so Trump now trying to sanitize black historical figures and black achievements.
Mm.
All right, so this one that we pull now, this one is from a website named capitalbnews.org. The quiet deletion of black history within federal agencies. All right, and the fight to stop it. When you start to fiddle around with history, that isn't what makes a country great. It makes
Mm.
us weaker. That's what one historian says. This story is by Brandon Pensley. And obviously, is a writer to this thing here. This is a picture of the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington. President Donald Trump mentioned the museum in an executive order last month in which he said the Smithsonian Institution is being influenced by a divisive, race-centered ideology. Now, if it named National Museum of African American History and Culture, what do you mean by race-centered ideology?
Mm.
Then African, it tell you plainly what it's about,
Mm.
African American history and culture.
Right.
I said, no, these institutions are being influenced by a divisive race-centered ideology.
Mm.
This man is something else. Alan Spears remembers visiting Gettysburg National Military Park with his parents in the 1970s. No, that's not Alan Spears. Soon tell you who Alan Spears is. I think. They wanted something educational, free, and fun to do with their only son. So, in other words, as a black person, we have one son. Maybe a couple of children, yes, but we have one son. I said, I want to do something educational with this child.
Mm.
So what they do now? They they wanted to do something educational, something free, something fun, and the park was an obvious choice. They went to the Gettysburg National Military Park. Given Spears' interest, his favorite television show as a child was The Rat Patrol, about soldiers during World War II. It was there at the Pennsylvania Park, a roughly hour and a half drive from Washington, D.C., that Spears became infatuated with history.
Mm.
Cannons everywhere, the statues of soldiers holding guns.
Mm.
I fell in love with war, the way a kid might in the fields of Gettysburg and Antietam or at Harper's Ferry. But I also began to learn about what that conflict, the Civil War, actually meant. And I started to see it through adult eyes. said the 60-year-old DC native. Right, so this man now is a DC native, them giving an account of his story, who went on to study US history at Clark University and Howard University.
Mhm.
My parents and the National Park Service are to blame. They hooked me solidly into US history. It's because of these experiences that Spears, the Senior Director of Cultural Resources in the National Parks Conservation Association's Government Affairs Department, feels a combination of hurt, anger, and concern over attempts to scrub black history from federal websites. And that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. But Trump is really just the front man to all these things. What Trump is doing and saying and acting out is really what the majority of that race is really what they think
Mm.
and how they feel, right? But in other words, they feel the same way, but they don't have the guts to say or do anything about it. But Trump is just the man who have the guts to do something about it
Mm.
or to say something about it. And then they are in the background talking, oh, can you say that? Blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, it's what Trump said and believe that's what comes out. That's what happens. His will is still done. In recent weeks, as federal agencies scramble to comply with Donald Trump executive orders targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and other supposedly harmful subjects, they have sought to censor information on their websites about the long and ongoing struggle for Black equity or erase Black stories entirely. Donald Trump don't do these things all by himself. So these people are doing these things because Donald Trump signed the executive order saying, do it.
Mhm.
This pattern, according to historians, whitewashes the past and it should encourage people to push back. Now, all these things that we read, on our show here, we try to look at, business aspect of black people. But you see all the thing where Donald Trump do,
Mhm.
it is set to erase
Yeah, so that,
all the
yeah.
things that you have gained. Yes.
Mm. Y- Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can about that.
Right. Um, y- like you see this platform again, you know, most I God, is our father, and you know, platform like these, it is very important as well. Was after ask now, yeah, you have a number, where my other side do like all these little stories, and then because remember now again, black people, especially in the Caribbean, I talk about black people, I talk about the 12 tribes. Like a number to call in and let brothers and sisters, as we on this platform, this little hour, let it call in, right? So we could hear, the voice of the black people because now it's like they would sit in this system or this society, and because they are unaware, the system will continue to abuse them. And now when you breaking down or we you bringing out here, this beast is like he had no sort of. mindset of any given time to rest because the scripture say he have it, but it's a short time. So now he making use of that time. And brothers and sisters being on our way, you know, it'd be a nice thing, like to have a little calling number now, right? You could try to set up that
Yeah.
on the little
I,
podcast now.
I'm looking into it. I wonder how we could do it. Is it possible to get like a Google number, or would I have to give them a telephone? One, if you have something like you can do an internet, a Wi-Fi calling.
Yeah, you could try. You could probably, as you say, look into it, and next show, try something like that. Put the number. Where, as you say, you could come across the broadcast or come across the program, and let we hear people, let we hear brothers and sisters. Let we hear
You probably
because this.
use the Wi-Fi number, the WhatsApp number. Yeah. But if you're watching it online, you're watching it via Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah,
if you call on WhatsApp, then
yeah. Set up like a
yeah, for
WhatsApp
real.
number.
We have the WhatsApp run, make it run across the street. Call in this number.
Yeah, call on the
Yeah,
WhatsApp number.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they can run it through the stream.
You can ask questions and things.
Yeah.
Even though the majority of the call you get silly. Some people call because ISUPK.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, as
But
you
yeah,
said,
we're never afraid of
yeah,
that.
yeah. Because just as you mentioned, brothers and sisters looking on the stream. Again, though let Satan continue to play on your mind. Ask that question. We will, as you say, we were just in that similar position, while watching the classes online, and you know, want to ask questions, come through, ask your questions. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, man, because these things, I get the impression that the majority of our people is taking, all these things that Trump is doing really slightly. They are being slight about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as if, Donald Trump over there doing what him doing, and me over here doing what me doing. In the 70s, when the CIA had their destabilization work in Jamaica, and the majority of Jamaicans hear about it, but they weren't in Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
So, they take it as, it is happening over there.
Right.
And then in the 80s and 90s, the violence, there was a clear demarcation of where the violence would stop within
Mm-hmm.
Kingston. It was below, where there was a bridge they call Torrington Bridge, which is in the Crossroad region. The lower part of Crossroad going into the city. So uptown used to say, as long as that violence is below Torrington Bridge, let them stay there. They can kill off themselves all they want. Which in way that was the right time for them to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that violence now is not only above Torrington Bridge, but it's on the whole island.
You see? See?
And they could have done something about it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a similar thing with Trump now. You see, making these moves. These moves are just really pen and paper moves, him doing, But what is he actually doing? He's setting the foundation
Mm-hmm.
for works to come.
Right.
So when these works start happening, you know, people know I go say, I'll start ball now and say,
Mm-hmm.
cops doing this or the army is doing that. But
Mm-hmm.
when the foundation was being set, you were quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, these blacks in these who control these museum and so on, they are saying basically that this is the right time to say something. This pattern, according to historians, whitewashes the past, and it should encourage people to push back. That's what they are saying. Continue reading. When you start to fiddle around with history, that isn't what makes a country great, Spears told Capital B. It makes us weaker and it makes us meaner because we are going to be much less informed about the broad sweep of US history and all the people who have contributed to making this country a good country. Right? All right, we'll read this and then we switch to something else. Controversy erupted earlier this week after reports surfaced that the National Park Service had rewritten a web page about the Underground Railroad to de-emphasize the consequential role that Harriet Tubman played in black resistance to enslavement. So you see, if we don't dig into these things, because this was not a news headline.
Right.
This didn't even mention upon the news that all down to Harriet Tubman's role, them trying to erase. So if we weren't digging, we wouldn't have found this. Right? After public outcry, the agency restored Tubman's photograph and a quote mentioning human bondage. So it's just a matter of time. They are going to remove. A couple years from now, you don't know nothing about Harriet Tubman. Just a matter of time. Let me say, I need to catch anything else. And all of this come like it is all important. All right, this part here now. And that same month, a demolition crew began razing Black Lives Matter Plaza in DC in response to Republican threats to district funding. The mural was created after George Floyd's murder in 2020 and had proclaimed in vivid yellow paint that Black Lives Matter. So, you could have, this is how evil they are. If you remember when they were talking about Black Lives Matter, they jump up on top of Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah.
When did blue life or white life didn't matter? The fact that we are saying is that, hey, you're killing us like animals. Our life matter too, And even that was too much for people, for us to be saying in their eyes. All right. I'm going to jump to something else. I have other stories. Well, it's the same Trump story, but this is the sanitization, the Smithsonian. There's another site now that tells us about Trump seeks to remove black historical figures. So we can find this one. This Donald Trump here is really on a rampage.
In the right spirit. Right spirit.
Right spirit.
Yeah, right now he in the right spirit, and they continue to run that route. And again, this is a reminder to us, as you say, to us, blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, that without, the Lord opening, as you say, or making that pathway, or making known to us who our enemies are, because again, this generation, that that we say we stem from was a generation where, you know, it is like we forget who the Lord is, and you know how we don't have an identity to really pinpoint to say this is who we are top
Mhm.
point until, you know, the Most High God, you know, raised, you know, righteous black men, and the truth was, you know, brought, you know, to the forefront, as the scripture say, you know, to have this to the front, let's say eyes between, as you say, this was a reminder to us, and you know, bringing back this truth, and you know, bringing it to our reminder was a glorious thing, and you know, we must again say Barakataya or Shai, you know, to the men before us, men who, you know, from the time, you know, that our king brought this understanding, you know, and men before him continue. Now we continue today, and you know, it's a glorious thing. Because this, if with all this truth, we didn't even know or recognize who this beast is, and you know, the role and function that you know, he playing right now, he playing a pivotal role, and the role he playing is us, you know, going to be delivered just by how we play, because we see the same spirit right on this beast when we was in Egypt. And Pharaoh gave warning, what Pharaoh didn't do, as you know, he said he begged Father's mercy, as he get that, he went back and doing, as you said, doing the same customary thing, just like any beast. They tame them for a while, become banded with, as I said, they have a master and have a servant. This beast is a servant. So unless the master, you know, bring this beast to the point of humbleness, what will take place? The beast will continue to run rampant. And this is why, again, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Froze.
mm, like,
You
yeah,
froze a while ago. I didn't hear the
I
last
froze a
thing.
while. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I see, I see. Yeah, well, as I say, you know, as there's certain things that have come out, mm, white man is the devil, that the Bible speaker, these record speaker, yeah, die waiters. Yeah.
right. It's not only Donald Trump is the devil. One of them is the devil.
That family stain.
Trump is
Uh,
just the head devil.
that family stain. The scriptures identify that as a family stain. That,
Right, right. We're gonna read this one now about Donald Trump policies. This site, this website is beaniethompson.ho dot house dot gov. So this
mm,
man is a congressman, and he has a .gov website. It's not long what he's put in here, but significant. Donald Trump policy target Black Americans. Donald Trump has pushed policies that try to erase Black voices and history. Since
mm,
taking office on January 2025, his policies have worked to hide the truth about Black America by
mm,
attacking diversity programs,
mm,
blocking real history, and targeting the places that share our stories. Congressman Beanie G. Thompson says Black Americans have worked hard and sacrificed for generations. One man can't silence our voice or erase our legacy. Leave him alone and say if him not do it. About one man can't. That's the problem. they think he's just a one man doing these things.
Yeah.
Like we're saying the truth here. Donald
Mm-hmm.
Trump is just echoing what the right race thinks.
Yeah, for right. Mm. Remember them have a number as well. They are a control figure, and everything he echoing, as you say, coming from that, as you say, from just as you say, white people. And
Hmm.
again, this is their time. So you know, all that we've been doing and asking since from day one, that that just reframe yourself or move away from this beast. That is where it is. But
Yeah.
you know,
Now come over here and keep those laws.
mm,
We're just reading in Revelation where him the dragon is
mm,
making war with the remnants of the woman who is the
mm,
Israelite.
right,
That keeps the laws and statutes of
mm,
Christ, that keep the
mm,
commandments of the law of the Most High,
mm,
right? So
mm,
that keep the commandments of God and
mm,
have the testimony of Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai Amashiach.
mm.
So if you believe that it's not important to keep the commandments of God, let me remind you again. Revelation 12 and 17. The dragon was wroth with the woman and went
Mhm.
to make war with the remnants of her seed, which keep the commandments of God. What are the commandments of God? You go read Leviticus and Deuteronomy
Right.
and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So there is a commandment of God and there is a testimony of Christ. We in the truth keep on telling you the laws are not done away with.
That's right.
You have Christ, yes, but the commandments of God still is there to be
Mm,
kept.
mm.
Christ kept it. Christ said, "Take up your cross and follow me." Same like how we keep them, you should keep them.
That's right.
This is revelation, right?
Mm.
And who is always all of our people who say the laws are done away with. Where did they learn that? They learned that from the oppressor. So why is it that the oppressor don't want you to keep the commandments of God? Because you are a big hindrance to him.
Mhm.
All right, so back to Donald Trump now. Donald Trump policies have attacked black Americans by removing Black Lives Matter Plaza and ground mural. 2. Signing an executive order attacking the National Museum of African American History. 3. Removing black historical figures from national websites. And 4. Attacking HBCUs by reducing Department of Education funding and
Mm.
rolling back DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives.
Mm.
You see, Trump is doing all these, you know. You see, whenever them start having a discussion about the 13th Amendment, then all bets are off.
Mm.
I remember the 14th Amendment was what gave you birthright citizenship. Once you're born in America, you're a citizen
Right.
of it. But the 13th Amendment was the one that says that took you out of slavery. Now, if you can sign executive order, remove 14th Amendment. It's just a matter of time before the 13th Amendment is removed. You know. And of course, our people is sitting down now and saying, oh, come on, you are so nonsensical. This is modern times.
Mhm.
Mm,
Mhm.
modern times, yes, but he remember his goal, to make America great
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
When America was great, we were in slavery.
Yeah.
You just remember that part. We were in slavery when America was great.
Mhm.
And he's trying to make it great again.
Mhm.
So this is not something for our people to sit. Our people in a mode of, you know, trying to put food on the table. Yes, that's good. But if you find yourself in slavery, there will be no table to put no food on.
Mhm.
So the most you can do is find yourself in the truth and keep the commandments of God.
Right.
You have to be in the truth to know how to keep those commandments.
Mhm.
Are you going to come and be talking about like, oh, you can eat anything because Christ died? And you'll be saying like, you shouldn't have more than one wife.
Mhm.
Well, the Bible did not tell you how much wives to have. Nowhere in the Bible said, have one wife, have two wives, have three wives. There's no law against that. You know what there's law against? Adultery.
Mhm.
So if I have 13 wives
Mhm.
and you feel that me have too much and you want to sleep with one of my wife, that's adultery.
Mhm.
You and she have committed adultery.
Mhm.
Yeah. No matter how much me have, they are mine.
Mhm.
You go take one of them, you have committed adultery.
Mhm.
And if she didn't come to you willingly, you committed rape.
Mhm.
That is it.
Yeah.
So if you not in the truth and learn how to keep these laws, why you are going to be making so much mistake. Your actions is not always what going to bring back Christ. The
Mhm.
actions that will bring back Christ is the ones that we just read about. Look at in Revelation
You can.
12
Mhm.
and 17.
Mhm. The verse before that again, it's just like what we was, talking about, and especially as we say this time that we in right now, the use or how information is being, spread, you know, is like the Most High God, had this platform, as we say in this time, and where, despite of where we is, receiving these, as you say, this instruction, this good news, this reminder that, you know, we would have health. And again, that health come from the Lord. That where that health come from, right? Because why the Lord always, hold or has a high, you know, reputation, and his reputation is the reputation that we say what we say the or we call creation, that is repetition. And
Mhm.
everything in creating creation, you had approval date. And we were part of that approval, being chosen, you know. The scripture say he didn't choose us because we were few in number, and the Lord had a reputation, and his approval was just enough for us, to understand if we move our spirit away from these instructions. We say in Deuteronomy 28 and 15, he say all these curses shall come upon thee and do what? And overtake thee. We face
Overtake.
that. We face it, but again, Brakataya our shy, for king, you know, Yahweh Shai, or which you will know as Jesus Christ, came and redeemed us and, made our way back that we could, honor, honor the Lord and, not honor our selfish, as we say, lustful ways and not, move after, things that the flesh desire. Yeah, that way, again, that way we say in Ephesians 6 and we say the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, you know, right? To tear down them stronghold, or we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? I believe that way it is. Yeah.
Ephesians
There's
1.
time. I think that's all. Ephesians. This is something that that must be reminded. Let me see if I got it. I'll tell you.
Tell
Ephesians.
about to put on the whole armor of God.
Yeah, Ephesians 6 and 12. 6 and 12.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Yeah,
Ephesians 6 and
6 and 12.
12. For we
Yeah.
wrestle not against flesh and blood, but
Mm-hmm.
against principalities. Hey, when I ask the Christian them what is principalities, I don't know. Principalities is just the government who run the country.
Yeah. You see the structure, you see the order of how this place run, right? Yeah. And remember now, we being the chosen people of the Lord, we supposed to hold that standard of holding the Lord's reputation to the standard of being of ruling. That is standard of the Lord. Right. Ruling right. Not just ruling, but ruling right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, now you have to take on the whole armor of God, that
Mm-hmm.
you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. So you put on the commandments of the Most High God. That is how you put on your girt your line with truth if you not keep the commandment.
Mm-hmm.
You're eating pork. You're telling people to eat pork. Is that truth? Is it a truth that they should be eating pork? Where in the Bible it says that they should. The book of Leviticus tells you point blank, don't eat it. It causes swine by name. Don't eat him.
Right.
So you think that have changed? There is no truth in that, right? You're teaching the, the teaching people, the Israelites, the wrong way to keep the Sabbath. You tell them about you can't cook on the Sabbath and you can't. That is rubbish. The Sabbath is just like how you have a job and you get your weekend off. That's the Sabbath. It's a rest day from your regular work or from your servile work.
Mm-hmm.
You cook if you want to cook, but kindle no fire on the Sabbath. No. That is when you have persons. And a matter of fact, we are in captivity now too. So if your boss tells us you need to work this Saturday, you just have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And Christ come and teach us that if your ass fell in the ditch on this Saturday, you go and pull him out. And you're going to pull him out, you're leaving the dead because it's the Sabbath. which means if you're hungry on the Sabbath, you are going to cook.
Mhm.
So Christ taught us how to keep these laws. So girding your loins with truth and having the breastplate of righteousness, all that is named there in Ephesians, you got to keep the Most High's commandment.
Mhm.
That's what Christ was teaching the people. How to keep how to walk the straight and narrow way going leading to God, which is the commandments.
Right.
But people don't want to keep them because they think that it is too rigid on them. No, it's not. He said his burden is light.
Mm.
Yeah, it's more stress for you to celebrate Christmas than to keep God's commandment and don't celebrate Christmas, isn't it?
First
Oh,
answer, okay.
you
Yeah.
know how much money
Uh-uh.
you need when Christmas time come, man.
Mm-hmm.
And when Easter time, Easter just gone. Much butter and cheese did you buy?
Mm-hmm.
You would have had the money if you didn't have to buy butter and cheese.
Mm.
All right. We're gonna jump into this. I'll mention the story of Esther now. Esther 7, verse 6 to
Yeah.
10.
What's the time and all too? Um,
We kind of start late. We
yeah.
soon finish, man. We can finish in the next 10 minutes. Esther chapter 7, verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. Verse
Mm-hmm.
7. And the king arose from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make requests for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. All right, so let me explain to the people what is happening right here. Haman was a governor under the king who was Esther's husband. Esther was an Israelite raised by a Benjamite man named Mordecai. Now, Mordecai, Haman was a white man. But then he was called a Haggagite or something like that. He wasn't called a European like now, but in this time he was some Haggagite or something like that. But remember, the Most High has put enmity between both of us from the womb. You remember the story with Esau and Jacob? They have been fighting and struggling from the womb. That is why until this day we are still fighting and struggling. Now, Haman, the white man, gained position under the king. The king wasn't a white man. The king was I think, a Persian. Either a Persian or a Mede. This was in the time of Media Persia. Then the king, Haman, uses authority now to write into all the Persian province now that they should attack we Israelites on a particular day. And then Mordecai learned of it, and he pitied the queen Esther to go to the king about this matter. So when the king heard of it now, the king was wroth, and he said, who is this enemy, the adversary and enemy? Who is this wicked man? And Esther said, this wicked man is Haman. And Haman was right there amongst the king. But Haman didn't know that she was an Israelite,
Mm.
which showed that all these people were dark skinned at the time. All right. And the king arose from his banquet, vexed, and going at like when I walk, going at the palace garden, cool out in wrath a little. But while he was doing that now, Aman realized that the king is determined evil against him. So him get up now and go over to Esther. If you go plead to Esther now, say, don't do it, don't do it. All right, I'll change my mind. And blah, 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 blah. But this is what happened. Verse 8. The king returned out of the palace garden to the place of the banquet of wine. And Aman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. The most I make it that him just trip and fall right upon Esther when the king are coming back in the room. So the king get a different, the king don't think of fall. The king say, what will he force the queen also before me in the house? In other words, you want to rape me, the queen in her house too? As him said that, as the word went out of the king's mouth,
Excuse.
they covered Aman's face. They just bang him at the same time. Shoot. And then this person named Arbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubic eye, which Aman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king. Haman, Mordecai, that's save your life, your highness. And this man built a gallows to hang him. That gallows standeth in the house of Aman. Then the king said, hang him on it. Verse 10. So they hung Aman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. What am I getting at here? Donald Trump seeming to pave the way for slavery for the blacks, Hispanics, and natives. But you know what? That paving of the way and removing all the statutes that would have prevented slavery, you know what that will bring? That is clearing the way for we to put them into slavery. Am I right or am I right? Yes, sir?
So that,
Am I right? I said the moves that Donald Trump is making, moving all those things all those legislation that would have prevented slavery and would have caused the other races to look on us with some dignity.
Right.
Those same legislations is what is going to put them into slavery.
This is correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
So, shine on, Donald Trump. Shine on. Let no man hinders you.
Power depend.
You go and use the power depend. That's what the most I want you for. You put the power depend and you make the changes that Alcatraz. Well, we don't know who we're going to put there yet, but obviously it's going to be a part. Maybe that's where we're going to keep the most troublesome slaves. You know, white slaves. Because I mean, that must be what you want. You must want you to go back in slavery. What has black people done to you more than build the country? Anything that black people own now in the West. When the Chinese them own things in America, they send back things to China, you know. And China has built themselves off America. There is no country that the black Americans are building off America. Whatever they own, whatever they gain, belongs to America. But they are too dumb to see. It's the same thing with Pharaoh. You know, you're just too dumb to see that.
Right.
What else you want from the people? So the most I know is going to put you into slavery. And that will be a very good business. Isaiah 14, 1 and 2 and 5. And then we can close there. Book of Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and this is how you know that what he's doing is preparing the way for his own slavery. The Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, that is, back in Jerusalem. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. The people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressor. So, maybe Alcatraz is where we're going to store them for transportation back to the homeland.
Hmm.
All them little things that they're doing have some significance to their end and to our beginning. All right, next verse 5. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. We can even touch on the one where say he's going to full Babylon with men.
Hmm.
And
So I last thing I said is,
the scripture that says, I will fill thee with men,
hmm,
referring to Babylon.
right.
That is what he's fighting against now.
Hmm.
That is what the whole immigration thing is now, to take out these people out of the land. But the most I put them there. So we can find Jeremiah. To deal with men as with caterpillars. Jeremiah 51 and 14. Let me find it. I'll close with this one. We know that a race war is coming in America. So maybe when a race war comes,
Hmm.
is to flip things upside down and put we on top.
Hmm.
And really and truly, if we come on top, they will seek to drop nuclear bomb on themselves, just to get rid of we. Because they know what to do. All right, Jeremiah 51 and 14. The Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, Surely I will fill thee with men, as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. So it's just a matter of time.
Hmm.
So like we say, shine on Donald Trump. Let
Yeah,
no man hinders you, man. Continue.
that's right. Right.
All right, so any closing word?
Yeah, well, again, they, join us on again on the conflict zone, every Tuesday, from what time? What time is your time? From Tuesday, every Tuesday, from what time?
9 Jamaica time. That's what
Uh,
10 your time.
yeah, 9,
Right.
9, 9, 9 p.m., 9 p.m., right? Where, we go into, as we say, stories like these, and to bring the awareness to Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, where, we are in a direct conflict, and it has always been so from the womb, right? Esau
Right.
and Jacob, we've been, from the bloodline of Jacob, and all press have been of the bloodline like Esau. So we have direct conflict. Right. So again, like, share, subscribe, to the podcast. Again, Lord allow, we have a phone line, or we brothers and sisters call in, even our pressers, call in, right? Let we hear your views and your opinions, how your society, we think about this society and how it is being run or governed, right? So I deal with that.
All right. So, yeah. By next week, we'll figure out where you can WhatsApp call the program, WhatsApp
Mm.
call this show. Yeah. All I'm going to ask is that you be respectful. So, hey, you are
Yes.
respectful to tell us your because we can deal with it. What we cannot deal with is you getting disruptive and behaving like you want to take over the
Mm.
show and all that. But what you
Right.
want to call, want to tell us, we're talking nonsense. You do it
Mm.
respectfully. We listen to you.
Mm.
Yeah, no problem. We don't, that is one thing. If you watch our videos, that's one thing we're not afraid of.
Yeah.
I don't
Very
call us with no long drawn out foolishness. The program is just 1 hour.
right.
All right, so that's it. Until next week, we say shalom.
Yeah,
Yabashima
shalom.
shalom.
Yeah, Shakata.